Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and all of my baggage droppers around the world, welcome to another episode of the Drop Your Baggage podcast, where we talk to people that are dope, that can bring you hope and show you a technique that can help you cope. I'm your host, the self-talk engineer, Charles Woolfork, and if you are here right now, please consider hitting the like and subscribe button. And if you're on a podcast platform, give a brother 5 stars and some feedback as well. Now, today, I have a queen of queens right here on the show. You guys, Jennifer Chapman is in the house. Now, Jennifer is from Indianapolis, Indiana, a Midwest person just like myself. And she was in corporate, but she had a stroke and had to overcome mental and emotional adversity and had to accept her new self and had to find her purpose. And she did. And that's why she established the Just Commit coaching. She helps others overcome the mental and emotional challenges after life-changing experiences and helps them accept and embrace the new and improved version of themselves. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring to you Jennifer Chapman. What's up, Jennifer?
Charles, I don't even know what to say with that introduction. That was I'm a huge fan of that. So thank you so much for having me.
You're so welcome. Whenever you walk into like the grocery store or like a Target or something, I could do that every time you come in. It's like, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
I'm going to envision that the next time I go to the grocery store.
Like not being embarrassed.
Exactly.
So, yo, you have obviously, just from the intro alone, like people could tell that you have a fascinating story. And I want to hear about all the details, all the lessons, all the ways that you've overcome adversity and how you become so successful and ascended yourself to where you are today. So please, Jennifer, like tell us, where does the story begin?
You know, Charles, my story starts very young. Age 11, actually. I was living like a very, I don't know if the word normal is normal, but a pretty great childhood, like great parents, loving family, brother, involved in all the things, and had support every step of the way. And then life changed suddenly for me at age 11. Actually, I lost my mom very suddenly. Just tragic. And it was just an overnight. One day I had her, the next day I didn't. So it was adapting to a new normal at a very young age. And no one really teaches you, looking back now, no one teaches you as a child how to deal with grief. Yeah. So did the best I could. My dad was super awesome and did what he knew he could with what he had. And jumped into sports, and tennis was my sport of choice, and thrived at it for the next 7 years. I think that was my outlet, which I think I chose well for an outlet. So after that, I went to college and got a marketing degree and jumped into sales after that. So I was in sales for 15 years. The last 5 of those or so was in the corporate realm, like a very huge organization. And I thrived at that as well, and was really successful, and thought I was going to continue to do that, right? I thought that was going to be my plan, and life again had different plans for me. And at age 34, I suffered a life-changing stroke.
So like, tell us like the story of that.
So I was actually transitioning into another role with this corporate organization, and it was like my first day on the job. And before I left the house, and I just want to give some context, like I was a very healthy person. Took really good care of myself, intense workouts all the time. I mean, that was definitely a stress reliever for me, was to like sweat through my clothes.
Yeah.
So I did that the night before, felt fine. And, but that next morning got extremely dizzy and sweating profusely, all in the matter of a couple of minutes. And I was home by myself, and I knew something wasn't right. So I called my aunt, and she's like, "You don't sound right." And I could tell that my throat was closing. That's what it felt like. So I quickly called 911. And by the time I got to the hospital, which was pretty quickly, my dad, my husband, and my aunt were all there.
Damn.
Yeah.
So you had this stroke. And what were some of the side effects of the stroke?
So I'm very blessed physically to this day. And I always say that, like, if no one would ever know I've had one, if you saw me walking down the street. I'm very thankful in that regard, because I just know so many survivors out there that have that physical deficit, and that's a battle, that they're overcoming every single day. Every deficit I have, no one can see. And I think that has its own challenges, mostly mentally in my own head. I don't have about 40% of my vision. My left peripheral vision is gone. So that's my daily reminder for sure. I have a lot of right side tenderness and sensitivity to the touch. I don't feel hot and cold on that side, which is, I can live with that, but it's definitely still a reminder for sure. And then my vocal cord was paralyzed. So again, it doesn't affect me daily when it comes to breathing, thankfully. But it does when it comes to like how hard I want to work out. I have to be able to catch that deep breath. So I can't do those exercises that I used to be able to do. And I'm to the point now where I've completely accepted that, but it took a lot of work to do that.
How did you adapt? Like your partial vision on one side, and you can't, like the touch is very sensitive on the other, and like your breathing is hindered a bit. So like, how did you adapt to all three of those things?
On top of lots of like actual therapy, the PT, the OT, the speech to really strengthen my voice, because my voice was very quiet and raspy the first few weeks after that. So lots of speech therapy and the PT and the OT. But then after that, it was really after that 1 year mark that I had done all the actual therapy, but really was battling still with like emotional stability. And again, didn't really know then until about 6 months later, I hired a life coach that I was grieving this old version of me. There's a part of me that's gone now.
Yeah, that grief is something crazy, because you usually grieve over a person that passes away, but also you grieve over a lifestyle that you've had as well, or maybe a position at a job, or maybe the loss of anything for that matter. So like, that's deep that you had to grieve over that, because that was your identity in the long run as well.
Yeah, it was. And I think you experienced that, like you mentioned, like going through any life-changing experience, whether it's maybe you're a cancer survivor, or maybe you had, physical or emotional or mental abuse by somebody and left a toxic relationship. You're gonna have that loss, that grief, but also lots of work on the mindset is the key, I think, through working with a coach to help me process that and learn to start to shift my own thoughts, from not dwelling on what I cannot do, but now focus on what can I still do? What am I capable of here? And but it's an immediate shift in the mindset and into the positive realm, and it just kind of puts a smile on your face versus dwelling on the negative.
So that was what she did. That was what the coach did. She just shifted your perspective. With that little bit of perspective, instead of what I can't do to what can I do, and then boom. What did that help you do? Like, how did that help you feel?
Charles, I would add to that the other big thing that I learned through working with her, and what I want to help others do now, is finding the purpose behind it, because everything happens for us. There is a reason. And sometimes when we're in the midst of it, you're definitely not going to want to look for that or understand that it did happen for a reason.
Right.
But once you do, whether that's weeks after or months after or years after, I mean, that is the ultimate, that's everything. That's the ultimate shift in perspective, and acknowledging like there was a purpose, that I had a stroke at 34. Oh, by the way, that was the same age my mom was when she passed. So it was like the biggest epiphany I've ever had is knowing like I survived this for a reason. Wow. Now, what is it going to be?
So what is your purpose?
It is to provide inspiration to others that are going through something similar that I've been through and are in a spot, in a place where I was, but have the want and the will to no longer want to stay there. Yeah. What is on the other side? What is still possible for me? I think that's the key and it was for me, is like, I knew I no longer wanted to stay in this like emotional and mental despair. And some people aren't there yet, whether they're stroke survivors or, these last 2 years of an international pandemic, have found themselves in this victim mentality, as I call it, like, woe is me, how am I ever going to move forward? And it's like, you could have all the support in the world that are people rooting you on, telling you but if you don't have that within you to want to move forward, Why would you expect anybody else to help you do that?
You can't help anyone that doesn't want to help themselves. The fact is, adversity makes people better because it's like the challenges that people have to overcome in order to get through that adversity. It helps them become stronger. It helps them become wiser. It helps them bring value to others through either being a better listener, having more empathy, having more compassion. But it's making you tougher too. That adversity is great.
Yeah.
So like, when people are going through adversity and they don't know how to handle it, either because of one, they haven't been through it when they were younger, or two, it's a different type of adversity. They can't see themselves getting up out of it.
Right.
So like when I was in a marriage, I didn't see myself getting out of a marriage. You know what I mean? I couldn't see like, oh, it's better to just get a divorce and free her and myself. I just did what I thought was best, was just to go through it. Maybe that's a bit different, but also at the same time, it was all I knew. And we're all doing the best that we can with the resources and consciousness that we have.
That's right. So I would be curious, looking back, what was your biggest learning lesson from going through what you went through?
Shit, I learned. I learned what I like and what I don't like. I learned what I wanted and what I didn't want with a partner. I learned that communication is important, but proper communication as far as being able to speak each other's love language, but also communication with yourself in going through the times that are hard. For example, I have an amazing girlfriend, and if she is, pouting, or if she is going through a rough patch where she just is not feeling great, and she's kind of, like angry at whatever, then the old me would have taken that as, I'm not good enough. She's angry at me. I can't help her. You know what I mean? I would have taken personal responsibility for her feelings. But instead, I just be like, look, man, she can own her feelings and she can be angry. And when she's ready, we can talk about it and we can find solutions. So it's being able to connect with myself in the times when I used to kind of beat up on myself because of someone else's feelings and their reactions to life. You know what I mean?
You nailed it. Yeah, I commend you for the work that you've done on yourself. And I hope and wish more people, start to realize that it's all they can control is their own, not only thoughts, feelings, emotions, sensations, but it's all internally. And it's how you control when those thoughts come up, when those emotions come up. You can't control anybody else and how they're going to respond. That's not your business. It's only up to you controlling your controllables. I mean, that's what I learned a long time ago. And it just lands not only in the professional realm when I was in corporate sales, but now personally in life. That's it.
Hell yeah. And mindset is a huge part of it. Like, and mindset seems so abstract when you first get into personal development, but mindset is just really perception and perspective. Like if there's what you said, there's a difference between what I can't do and what can I do. Yeah. There's a difference between I can't do this and how can I do this. There's a difference between like a fear of failure and, man, if I do this, then I'm going to fall on my face. Instead, there's a between that and, hey, let me try this and collect data and then make myself better over time. Like, it's just a difference in mindset. And once you switch over to that mindset, that's the latter that says, hey, let's take action, let's be better, let's do better, then life is so much better. Life is going to get better. You're going to be a better person, transitioning from that old mindset to that new mindset.
Preach, Charles. Yeah, you nailed it. I mean, it's that growth mindset. Yeah. Or that warrior mentality, as I like to call it, versus staying in that victim or staying safe or that comfort. It's that fear part. Are you going to let the fear part control you? And you're not going to do something because you're scared to do it. So you're going to play it safe or stay small, or are you going to take the risk? And if you so-called fail, you get up and try again. You learn something, take whatever that learning lesson is away from it, try again. Yeah. Not give up on yourself. Yeah. It feels, and you know what? Some people are used to settling and giving up on themselves. Shit, I was. Yeah. I mean, I was like used to giving up on myself because I gave up on basketball. I didn't give up on like kung fu and karate, but my mom wasn't able to afford it, so we got out of it. So I was able to give up on it. I gave up on basketball and baseball. So like with those things, later on in life, I could give up on network marketing.
I can give up on myself when it came to school, like college, and not doing my very best in the situations and different classes. Like, so people can get used to that. And therefore, they're just on this downward spiral of having this habit of giving up on themselves. And what that does is it subconsciously links them up with these beliefs that, well, heck, I'm not good enough. Or it subconsciously links up with these beliefs like, hey, you've always done this. Or it subconsciously links up with the belief that I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy of it. I don't deserve it because I've always been a failure. I've always done this to myself.
It's so true. And I think what I've also learned is whether people know it or not, that they've been conditioned potentially to think the way they think from back when we were when we were children, from
100%.
6, 7, 8 years old. We learned from what we saw, right, within our environments and our homes and things. So people may have those beliefs because they were instilled in them from one parent or family member or another, and to now realize as adults or where they are that they have the power, if they want to change their patterns, change their beliefs, realign, pivot, step into a different direction, create new behaviors. But that first part is just being aware of it.
Being aware of it is huge. But what you said hit the nail on the head, because, and that rhymes.
I like that. You planned that.
But what you said was spot on, because that's where your subconscious is molding a lot of your beliefs and a lot of the ways that you respond to different things within your life, whether it be, especially for the negative emotions. Therefore, how you respond to the fears that you have, that's how you're going to continue to do so until you're aware of it, until you think like, wow, my mom responded with her own fears. My mom, like, she projected her own limiting beliefs upon me, and now I think what she thinks. Or I'm afraid of some type of reaction because I'm afraid of some type of reaction because my father judged me as a kid. Or I don't want to be rejected because the kids at my school, they were shitheads and they treated me mean because they were just kids. And so all that comes onto you, and it builds up over time because subconsciously your mind is trying to protect you from those negative feelings,
You're spot on.
So it's like, once you become aware of it, it's about taking the time to start to subconsciously reprogram yourself through, so many different modalities, whether it be YouTube or whether it be affirmations and mantras, definitely meditation, like the meditation that we're going to be doing today. NLP techniques is so powerful, so powerful. But most of all, more than anything, it's about taking action, because once you cut your teeth enough times, you learn the different techniques in the different ways in order for you to be better, so you can get better results.
Yeah, you're spot on. It's from what I've learned over the last couple of years of all the personal growth and development that I've done for me is not only becoming aware of all the patterns and behaviors and things in my life, but in our methodology that I've been taught is acceptance, accepting all of that it's just, and not how you were maybe taught before, where you mask it or resist it or push it down or avoid it. Just like accepting it, knowing why that part was here, whether it was doubt or failure or judgment, and acknowledging that compassionately, and then being able to forgive yourself for that misunderstanding. Because all of it's, you just really got to ask yourself, is it really true when I tell myself that this thought that I'm not good enough is that 100% true? No. Whatever question you, and then it's like, what is the opposite of that? And then be able to acknowledge yourself and give yourself a grounded example of what really is true, stating your truth.
I totally agree, because we're all doing the best that we can with the resources and consciousness that we have. And the resources and consciousness that we have today may not even compare to the resources and consciousness that we had back then. You know what I mean? Like, I am a man now, when at even 30 years old, I was a kid. You know what I mean? And also that acceptance part, that's so huge, because you can accept where you were, but also know that you can be better today,
That's powerful.
You can control. Yes, of course. I totally agree. You can be better and better every single day. And to have that as a goal, to measure that out and say, hey, I can be 1% better today and the next day and the next day, man, like that type of growth and that type of not necessarily a drive, but those goals to be better, that can take you to outstanding places. And that negative conversation that's in your head can either be turned down from like a 10 to a 5 or a 4, or it can be silence in general.
Yeah. And I wholeheartedly agree with you. And I would just say, like, I think the biggest thing I've learned looking back now professionally and now much more personally is like, I'm the only person that's going to hold myself back if I choose to. Like literally my mindset, my thoughts in my head are going to be the only thing that could hold me back. It's not anything external and outside of me. It's just me. It's up to me every day.
100%. And that's what, you know, like being a self-talk engineer, I see it in how people talk. Like I see their fears, their worst fears, fear of abandonment, or the fear of failure, the fear of the unknown, or, you know, the limiting belief that I'm not good enough, or I'm not worthy, or I don't deserve it, or just the hurt and disappointment that they've experienced in the past, they've held on to because they don't ever want to get burnt again. Or they don't want to ever be disappointed again, to where they're heartbroken. And heartbreak, whether it be romantically or whether it be from a friend or a family member, it's tough. It's tough to reconcile with that. So yeah, like to see that, I appreciate. It's a gift and a curse, because I only see people from who they are on the other side. I don't see people for their limiting beliefs and their fear. I see them as that spirit that has something deeper within their souls that they know they can achieve, or that this thing that's deeper within their souls that they know they can become. And I see that for that, and I want to encourage that and to strengthen that.
Yeah, I love that you said that. And I think we as coaches, and that is our role to play with our clients that is the role that my coach played for me. She saw more confidence and belief in me than I did in myself at that moment in time. And that's what I needed. That's who I needed at the time.
Yeah. I love it. This these type of things, they really drive me. And you know, I always feel so rejuvenated when I help someone. Like I was a teacher before. I was a school teacher, and the thing that used to drive me as far as being a school teacher is the epiphany that kids would get when they learned something for the first time, to just blow their minds. So when I help people get rid of a negative emotions or a limiting belief that you and I are going to get rid of today, it's the best, because it's like a surgeon, you know, taking something that's broken and then, you know, like putting it back to where it was, sewing it back up, and then putting a cast on it, and then boom, letting them off, or letting people free and saying, hey, you know, you're going to be okay.
Yeah, it's healing. It's continued healing. And I am here for it. And I work on that a little bit every single day.
You're about to do a shit ton today, because
hey, I'm ready for that too.
On the Drop Your Baggage podcast, we talk to people that are dope, like yourself, that can we talk to people that are dope, that can bring you hope and show you a technique that can help you cope. And we are going to be doing the mental and emotional release process, simple guided meditation. It's an NLP technique. I'm going to talk to the audience real quick. If you have something that is weighing heavy on you and you feel like you just can't shake it, you can't change your mindset, and that is just so damn hard, please go to charleswoolfork.com. If you feel like you've been struggling with your fears and your anxiety and these negative conversation in your head, please go to charleswoolfork.com. And if you just feel like you're getting in your own damn way, that the only thing that's holding you back from your greatness is you, and go to charleswoolfork.com. There's a form on the front page. Sign up for and schedule your appointment so we can start getting rid of your negative emotions and limiting beliefs today, and get you on that path to being your greatest self. Now, Jennifer, today we are going to be releasing the limiting belief that I'm not good enough. How is that affecting you?
Yeah, it's rang true for me in different times in my life. And it's sometimes maybe hard to explain to everybody else, and maybe they don't see that part of me that, you know, like being in sales or now being a new coach, like that's just something I do not want to exude out. Yeah. You know, I just want to make sure that I can kick that belief for good. Yeah. Not that it's not going to rise up, but knowing how to immediately push it back down, not push it back down, but just not let it take over or control who I am. who I want to be and who I want to be for others every day.
Amen. The fact that I never met my father before. He left my mom before I was born. I always, when I was a kid, and just, I mean, heck, not even 5 years ago, I always felt like I'm not good enough. I always felt like I wasn't good enough. Because if I was good enough, why wouldn't he send a birthday card? Why wouldn't he send a Christmas present? If I was good enough, why wouldn't he stay? I took personal responsibility for his actions.
Yeah.
And I always felt like I'm not good enough. And more than anything, that I'm not lovable. I wasn't a lovable person, you see? And it didn't show up as far as me telling people that of my struggles. It showed up in me being a people pleaser. It showed up in me having not difficult, but relationships with men that weren't sustainable, or that I didn't sustain, I should say. You see, it showed up in me being clingy with girlfriends, you know?
Sure.
And also it often showed up for me with sales, with me being a coach and an entrepreneur now. So I mean, it can always rear its ugly head.
Yeah.
So like, what were some of the things that had happened or does happen that you see? That's only because of this limiting belief that I have.
That I haven't put myself out there more as a coach, because I am thinking I'm not going to be the coach that people are going to choose to want to work with.
Mm-hmm.
What? Why? What? Like, but it's true. And also, as I was an athlete and playing sports growing up, that I wasn't as good as all these other people that I surrounded myself with, and being in sales, like that I wasn't good enough as the peers, the people around me. And was it always true? No, but not knowing that, having a bad day or week or sales month or whatever it was I able to go back and be like, well, but I did this, and this, I did hit this number, or, it was hard for me to acknowledge those parts. We're trained, I think, as human beings to find the negative and why we weren't good enough, and not trained on now, as we are adults, and with the training and experience we've had, Charles, is to know how we can immediately tap into the opposite and being able to speak our truth confidently.
And yet, like, the small fears, because I feel my fears. I feel my fears. I still have fears. And I just like, holy shit, where did you come from? Like, I'll say something about some type of marketing. I'll say something about, expressing myself in a certain way, and it just comes up, and it's just about acknowledging it. And like you said, it's about like knowing the opposite, or like empowering yourself.
Yes.
But like, without this modality that I've gone through, I don't see any other way to silence, like to mute that shit. Like, I just want to turn it off. I don't want to even have that conversation in my freaking head anymore. You know what I mean?
Right. But so many, I mean, we're in a very small percentage that at least has been shown and taught how to be able to flip it and have more control over it, and empower ourselves, like you said. And that's just what I want to help others know, that they already have within them. They just have to know how to get there and like tap into that.
100%. Well, we're about to tap into something special today. So with this modality, all you got to do are three things that have a profound experience. Number one, you got to use your imagination.
Okay.
Number two, you got to follow directions, just like you follow a good recipe or Google Maps.
Okay.
And number three, you got to trust the process. Know that I'm your guide, and I'll be leading you through this easily and effortlessly. I come from a place of love and high vibration.
I love it. I'm ready.
Let's get it. All right. So a couple more things. Number one, in order to so we're going to be having a lot of breakthroughs in a small amount of time, and you're going to be releasing a lot of trigger after trigger. So you're going to, so just imagine that your memory is a stick of dynamite, and the emotion is the wick. All right, we're going to take the wick out of the dynamite. We're going to be taking the emotion out of the memory, and we want to do that for as many memories as possible, for as many events in your life as possible. So I want you to go, and I want you to take your time and have as many breakthroughs as possible, release as many triggers as possible within this exercise, and I'll guide you through that as well.
Okay.
All right, and the last thing, which is the most important, is in order to have the most prolific healing for yourself, is to make sure that you see from everybody's perspective in each and every event, and have empathy and compassion for them.
I can do that.
Perfect. Yeah. All right. Now with this, we're going to create an imaginary timeline, with your timeline, your past can be to your left, to your right, or behind you. If you were to know, where's your past?
Over here. To my
Where's
left.
where's your future?
Right here.
Perfect. Now, with that, is it all right with your unconscious mind for you to release this limiting belief that I'm not good enough today, and for you to be aware of it consciously?
Absolutely.
Awesome. What is the root cause of this problem? The first event, which when disconnected, that will cause this problem to disappear. If you were to know, when was the first time that you felt as though I'm not good enough, like from like third grade or younger?
That's a tough one, Charles. Like I don't know if I consciously know if something stands out to me before that age.
So let's jog your memory a bit. So what kindergarten did you go to?
Douglas MacArthur Elementary School.
Okay, Douglas MacArthur. Do you remember what house you lived in?
I do.
All right, cool. So do you have any siblings?
I have one brother.
All right. So younger or older?
17 months younger.
Right. So do you remember ever feeling as though I'm not good enough because of something that happened in kindergarten or in that house with your brother, your family?
I don't know if I can speak to like I am, but thinking like there were other friends of mine that had nicer things, bigger houses.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe like we aren't good enough.
Okay.
Or just that.
Yeah.
I'm not as good as them.
Yeah.
In a sense.
Perfect. That's it. All right. And with that, you can go ahead and we're going to start at that event. So you can go ahead and close your eyes and relax and let me know when you're ready for the process.
Okay.
All right. Now just imagine floating up above your timeline and float to the left and float deeper and deeper and deeper into the past above that first event in which you felt as though I'm not good enough when you were just a little girl. Let me know when you're there.
Okay.
Okay. Now, what else does that little girl need to know? What else do you need to know? So just ask your unconscious mind what it needs to learn from the event, the learning of which will allow you to let go of the emotions easily and effortlessly. Your unconscious mind can preserve the learning so that if you need them in the future, they'll be there. Just tell your unconscious mind to preserve the learnings. This is an exercise of forgiveness and acceptance. Forgiveness for yourself and others, and acceptance of yourself and others. Who do you have to forgive? What do you have to accept? Who do you have to accept? Focus your attention upon how you're a survivor. Hurt people hurt people. We're all doing the best that we can with the resources and consciousness that we have. We can't control anyone else's actions, but we can control our response. We can grow stronger and wiser and learn from other people's actions and mistakes. Other people's actions have nothing to do with you. It's only a reflection of their baggage and whatever they're going through at the time. And we're better people than we were when those events occurred. You're a better person than you were when those events occurred. What is something positive and empowering you can tell yourself in each and every event with the consciousness that you have today that will allow the emotions to evaporate like water on the concrete on a hot summer day? And as you preserve these learnings, the emotions are starting to dissipate more and more until they're all gone. Just let me know when they're all gone.
Okay.
What else did you learn?
That it wasn't true.
Mm-hmm.
That it was just a made up story in my own head.
What inside that little girl make it all up?
A part of me wants to say my parents, because I saw them think that at times, even as a little kid, that they didn't think they were good enough. And they didn't like consciously teach me that.
Right.
You know, that wasn't something that they would intentionally, bring into the home, but like being able to look back, them having those own limiting beliefs within themselves. Yeah.
So what do you have to say to your parents?
I'm not mad at them for it. I thank them for just teaching me the best that they could with what they had. That's it. And I think knowing what I know now, that they may have been taught that. Like it's just this long, it's just this pattern. And whether they were maybe even aware of it or not, maybe they were, but obviously me as a kid, not knowing that, just knowing what I know now, that it's not who they were. It's just this part of them, just this human part of them, right? Not the being part. Yeah. Just acknowledging it and acknowledging them. For doing the best they could with me. Now,
just imagine floating up above your timeline and floating to the past above the dinosaurs during the prehistoric age, and then floating to space to where space and the atmosphere connects. Let me know when you're there.
Okay.
Just imagine floating there in space and ask yourself now, where are the emotions? Tell me, are they there or have they disappeared? Now,
they've disappeared right now.
Awesome. Now, just imagine floating down inside the event. Seeing through your own eyes as a little girl and check on the emotions. Tell me, are they there or have they disappeared? Now,
they've disappeared.
Awesome. Float back above the dinosaurs and then float into space to where space and the atmosphere connects. Let me know when you're there.
Okay.
All right. Well, float very, very high above your timeline, above each and every event in which you felt that limiting belief that I'm not good enough. from birth until now in chronological order. Don't skip one event that has a charge on it. Preserve the learnings and let go of that limiting belief all the way back to now. Go. Make sure that you didn't miss anybody's perspective. Make sure you didn't miss the perspective of your parents or any friends or family or bosses or boyfriends or whatever. And as you preserve these learnings, the emotions are starting to dissipate more and more until they're all gone. Just let me know when they're all gone.
Okay.
Awesome. Now, just imagine floating down inside of your body and open your eyes when you're ready.
Okay.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Hey.
Yeah. That felt really good.
That's better. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That made a difference.
Mm-hmm. Do you smell biscuits?
No.
Can you remember a time in the past in which you used to feel that old emotion? And go back and notice, if you could feel it, or you may find that you cannot.
Not right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why?
Just I just feel like full of confidence right now. Yeah, I feel lighter, which I think it was that release of that stuck belief, that stuck energy, right? And realizing, like, if I just knowing that process and that it doesn't take very long, but that I can be with it. Yeah, it feels really, really good. I feel much lighter.
Oh yeah. Just think that one perspective that you had to have in order to release was the perspective of your parents.
Right.
That's deep.
Yeah, it is.
You know,
I agree with you, Charles. Yeah.
Wow. That's like, it's like a generational curse, you know.
100%. I believe that with a lot of people that I've met and have coached, and just through the certification that I went through, and so many practice sessions that I've witnessed, whether these people were aware of it or not, right? Whether it was they're consciously aware of it, or that it was they're unconscious, that when it came up, it was like a transformational moment. Yeah. Yes. Huge. It's huge. Yeah.
What's your mindset like now, to where you feel a lot more confident?
That I have everything I need to be a great coach. I've got the experience, I've got the tools, I've got the resources, I've got the right mindset to not only be a great coach, but to also not tie my worthiness to being a coach, and to know that someone may not say yes to my services, but it has nothing to do with me. That's what I know.
Hell yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Hell yeah.
That's powerful.
Hell yeah.
I feel that. Yeah. Yeah. Charles, thank you.
Yeah, hell yeah. I was like, nah, like, when you said you could feel it still, I'm like, hell no, I don't like that shit. Nah, I don't mess around. When it comes to this NLP stuff. Like, we gotta nip it in the bud.
You're really good at what you do, and your passion exudes through you.
Thank you. That's very sweet.
Yeah, it does.
So, like, as you're going through this, a lot of people have not experienced this as of yet. So can you please put more into words about, how you feel in this, the whole process, or how difficult it was,
Yeah, I think it can be difficult at the very beginning when you have to, again, get out of your own mind and your own head, and be able to, like, drop in to the experience versus just thinking about the experience, and, like, really be present. I think that's a big part of it. And I would love to hear your feedback on my experience, or just what your advice is for others in general when they say yes to an experience like this. And I think you made the 3 points at the beginning, is being open-minded. So I think immediately noticing if you're not, it's like that ego part, right? That ego part that's going to come in and tell you, well, it doesn't like being still. So it's going to try and get in your way of being able to be in that moment.
Hell yeah. You're so right. It's a part about surrendering. And that's the part about trusting the process and following directions. If you trust the process, follow directions, you'll be fine. The imagination part, that's neither here nor there. I'm like, it's a guided meditation, so I'll guide you to going where you need to go. But trusting the process, knowing that that this is gonna freaking work, and following directions, going to where I asked you to go, and staying there, and observing and reflecting, and having empathy and compassion for the people inside the event. That's the part where you have to just let go and, like, trust, like, man, this is about to be a healing opportunity. And that's why you had to go through it twice. So she had to go through it twice only because we missed a perspective. The perspective that was needed to see wasn't her friend's perspective or her perspective. It was honestly her parents' perspective, and like to be able to, really look around the event and say, oh, well, there's me, and then there's my mom, and then there's my dad. Like, you got to take your time with it,
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. I struggle with that myself. It takes me since I do this by myself on my own, it takes me about 45 minutes to clear. Like,
Okay.
you got it easy. You got me to do this with you. So it took you like 15 minutes. But for me, it takes me like 45 minutes because I gotta always like keep myself, first of all, out of the event, which is hard enough.
Yeah.
And then I have to focus, okay, what am I supposed to learn? What perspective am I missing? Does it feel like it's released? So it's that can be challenging. However, it's way easier than months of therapy.
Yeah. To say the least. Yeah, on so many levels. Not that therapy doesn't have its place, because it certainly does. But it could be a very long, emotionally draining process.
Yeah, it's a long one. I know that, I went for a while and it just wasn't getting the results that I wanted to. I still felt like I wasn't good enough. And I go through this a few times and I'm like, oh yeah, no, it's all good.
That's powerful. I love it.
Thank you. What about that conversation in your head? What's replaying in your head now?
That it's not true.
Yeah.
That it was just a story that I had made up multiple times in my life. But yeah, it had nothing. It's not me. It had nothing to do with me. It was just this story that I would tell myself. And now being able to, and it's important for me to be able to know how to flip the script and give myself examples and acknowledge myself and celebrate myself for the many times that I know I'm more than good enough. Yeah, they don't teach you how to do that when you're growing, I mean, it didn't for me. I'm not going to speak to everybody, but
me neither.
Yeah. So to be able to do that as an adult and to give yourself permission to do it, a completely transformative process that you have that's available to you at all times.
Yeah.
It's
pretty amazing what the mind can do. I love it.
It's true.
I love it. And
it's true.
I'm excited to see how you move differently, because on the Drop Your Baggage podcast, we do an update. So in about a month, we'll come back. Yeah. We just shot out there earlier with Ashley Franklin. Shout out to Ashley Franklin, who just did her update. Doing amazing. Let go of the limiting belief that I'm not good enough. Now she's starting her second podcast and has a YouTube channel. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So yeah. So just check up on you, see how you're doing, and show people like that the results of this are permanent. That it's not like it's not one of those things where you just go through it once and then you're like, oh, that was great, and then tomorrow you go back to the same old mindset. No, this is you now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to just notice how I feel tomorrow.
Yeah.
For sure.
Hell yeah. I'm excited for you.
Thank you so much, Charles.
Of course. Please give the audience one more word of wisdom.
Man, I invite anybody out there that feels, I don't know if it's stuck or just in this place where you no longer want to be.
Mm-hmm.
I just invite you to like find the grit and the courage and the vulnerability and the strength to just maybe know that you can't do it alone, but that it definitely starts with you. And once someone else sees that will in you and that want in you, and that potential and that belief in you, that you still have every opportunity to be the best version of you that you can be and step into your full potential. If you want it bad enough, it's there. It's in your hands. But if you want to know how to tap into that, reach out to somebody, reach out to a coach, reach out to me. I'm here to even have that one conversation with you to help you take that first step into who you're meant to be.
Amen. Where can people find you?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram at Just Commit Coaching. I also find a lot of connections and people that like to have these conversations on LinkedIn. So I'm on LinkedIn, Jennifer Chapman, and then my website at justcommitcoaching.com.
You are outstanding. Thank you so much for showing up for your divine appointment and coming on the show.
Charles, thank you for sharing your superpower with me today. It was incredible.
Got you.
Yeah.
And thank you all out there for listening. And just thank you for your attention and your support. I love you all so much. And if you are still here, please, you might as well go ahead and smash that like button and you subscribe. And if you are on a podcast platform, Give a brother 5 stars and some feedback as well, right here on the Drop Your Baggage podcast, where we talk to people that are dope, that can bring you hope and show you a technique that can help you cope. I am your host, the self-talk engineer, Charles Woolfork, with my wonderful guest, Jennifer Chapman. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, take care of yourself and take care of one another. Peace.